Hello my people, you're very much welcome again to yet another interesting tutorial where I'll be teaching you on how to make this beautiful crop top and a wide leg full length palazzo trouser. Do not mind the way it's looking on my mannequin. My client's body is quite different from my mannequins, and she's not that tall, so that's why it's looking as if the trouser is three-quarter and the crop top is not that crop on her body where it will be revealing her navel. It's just directly above the waistband of the trouser. So before we go into the full tutorial, I'd like to welcome my new subscribers. It's so good to have you to this family, and I really do hope that you enjoy your stay here as we go on this fun ride together. And to my OGs, you're very, very much welcome. I welcome you all. Thank you for sticking by and for loving what I do. So you can see how vibrant it's looking, the tribal print. I would like to inform that this actually took 3 yards, but yours might be more than depending on your body size. So this is inspiration, and guys, we're going to divert a little bit. I just want to introduce you to my newfound business that I sell vibrant and beautiful Ankara fabrics. As you can see here, these are just samples. They come in different grades, and I will be dropping a link in our community platform as time goes on, where you can shop for your vibrant Ankara pieces. I sell in wholesale and I also sell as retail. So if you must even be interested, guys, please patronize me, show me love, and God will continue to enrich and expand your pockets in Jesus' name. So these actually are the samples. As you can see, I have beautiful, vibrant looking. So if you're in Nigeria, I deliver nationwide, and I also deliver globally. Anywhere you are in the world and you're interested in having something like this, please make me your plug. All right, I also sell silk materials. Yes, and these silk materials, they come in with chiffon. Yes, these are the samples here. As you can see, this is the silk materials in 4 yards with chiffon fabric in 2 yards. So do not let me bore you with my talk. Let's go straight into the tutorial. So we're going to start by folding the fabric into two using the hip circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 4 inches for the crouch extension for the front trouser. Now you can see from the center fold there, I'm marking 1 inch inward this way, and I'm going to roll it with a straight line like this. Now from the top, I'm also going to mark 1 inch this way, and I'm going to roll it this way. So this will represent our borders. Now I am putting my tape rule outside from that border line 1.5 inch to mark my waist to the hip measurement plus ½ inch this way, and I'm still placing my tape rule the same manner to mark my crouch measurement plus 2.5 inches. This is because the trouser is a high-waisted one. That is, it is a little bit higher than the navel part. So the ½ inch is just for ease. So from that center fold line, I'll be marking my hip measurement divided by 4 this way plus half inch is. So at the waistline there, I'll be putting in my waist circumference measurement divided by 4 plus 1 inch sewing allowance. And for the crouch extension for the front, I will be dividing my hip circumference by 20. And at that angle there, I just came up by 1 inch. So at the hip line there, I'll be coming inward by half an inch in order to give the front side of our trouser a nice fitting at the waist area there. So I will be connecting it towards like this. I curved out my crotch extension and extended it towards that new hip line there. So for the hip measurement, I'll be using hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1 inch for sewing allowance there. So I'll be using my curve, not the deepest curve, the slight curve of my ruler to connect the waist to my hip. Now for proper fitting at the waist area of my trouser, I came downward by half inch and I'm going to connect it like this towards that hip line. So the rest is just easy peasy. I'll be putting in my total trouser length plus 2 inches for sewing allowance. So I'm just placing my tape measure with 1.5 away from it at the first waistline we drew, and I'm going to mark out my M line this way and rule it out with my ruler. After doing that, I'm going to extend the crouch extension downwards. So here I am just marking it at strategic points like this so that I can be able to draw a straight line. And since this is not a fitted trouser, there is no need for your knee measurement or ankle circumference measurement to be placed. So you can see how easy it is. So I'll be using the front pattern to cut out the back pattern of our trouser, and I'll be folding my fabric first this way using my hip measurement divided by 4 plus about 5 inches extra. You can see the way I placed my front pattern on it. I placed it 1 inch away from the center fold of the fabric, and I'll be using my ruler to roll out the waist line for my back using the front pattern as a template. Now I will be extending the crouch line as well on my folded fabric this way. After doing that, I'll be looking for the midpoint of that my crotch line for the front there, and I'll be marking it out this way, the midpoint of it. I also use my tape measure to look for the midpoint of my front waistline this way, and after marking it, I will be connecting those two markings together with my ruler. So after doing that, I would now look for the midpoint of this distance, the mid distance of my waist to the other end, like this. I'll be looking for the midpoint of it, and I'll mark it. This is for us to be able to draft out the butt height of our back pattern. Now the next thing I'm doing is to put my back crouch extension there, and it's gotten by dividing my hip by 10, and from there I came down by half inch. This is to create a form of ease for our crouch area of the trouser. After doing that, I'll be putting in my butt height measurements on that line, and this depends on how big your bump is. From that point there, I will be marking the waist measurement for the front on the back as well. The exact measurement we have for the front, that's what I'll be putting there. And I'm just extending the hip line and the crouch line. Then the next thing I will be doing is to use the slightest part of my curve ruler to draw out my hip line from the waist to the hip this way. So for us to draw out our crouch line for the back, I'm first going to use my straight ruler. I'm extending the hip lines, you can see, and I'm going to use my straight ruler to rule a straight line. And after doing that, I will be curving it out towards the line like this, and our back crouch line is ready. So the next thing I'm doing, you can see, is just to rule out the M line as well for the back, and I'm going to extend it from the crouch line there downwards, straight down, just as we did for the front. I'm going to extend it like this. So before cutting out, I decided to put my zip placket there. I used about 10 inches length from my waistline and 2 inches for the width of my pocket, and you can see the way I'm curving it at the edge there before ruling it out. I also went ahead to curve it very well, and I decided to use to put my sewing allowance there for the crouch area like this, and I connected it to the placket. So we are done with it, and we can now cut it out. So for the cutout at the pockets around the hip area, I came inward by 1 inch and I went downward by 7 inches. So I'll be using my ruler to draw a straight line to connect those points together. So this is the pocket piece that we'll be using. I know a lot of you be wondering, like, wow, what is this kind of Ankara looking for here? Guys, we got to this stage, I realized that the fabric I had left would not be sufficient if I cut it out fully on that fabric. So I decided to do something that I was taught a long time ago when I was learning tailoring. So what I'm going to do next is to fold my pocket piece this way, right side facing each other, and I'm going to place it underneath the uh, front pattern of my trouser, and I'm going to use my scissors to cut out the pocket slant area just on one side of my pocket piece this way. So let's go straight into the sewing. We're going to start with the front pattern first, and I have separated my two pieces like this. Now I will take my pocket piece and I'll place it this way, right side facing right side along the pocket slant. I'm going to stitch on it and open it up. After opening it up, I'm going to top stitch it. So this is how you do it. You place it like this, and I'm going to stitch along this side. After stitching, I'll flip it over and I'm going to top stitch it. So for those who will be using this method of making pockets, you can see that the fabric that is not corresponding with your main fabric will be inside this way, and it won't be seen except your client washes our garments, our clothes, and you have proper reasons for using that method. So after doing that, this is how I'm going to fold it. You can see that our pocket is almost formed. So I am now going to take it to my machine, sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch like this along the edges this way to close the pocket up, and that is just all for making of pockets. So I did that for both sides of my front pieces, for the left and for the right. So the next thing I will be doing is to place one side of my front pattern on top the other this way, and I'm going to be sewing along the crotch line using my sewing allowance. So for the back side of the trouser, I've already placed them right side facing each other, and I will be running my stitch using my sewing allowance to stop directly under the zipper placket this way, and make sure you back stitch properly. So I have my front piece like this properly laid, and I'm about to put in my body circumference measurement on it. So here I am trying to measure quarter of my waist circumference measurement, and I'm going to put my tape at the center seam there to mark the quarter measurement on both sides so that I can have equal markings on both sides. So I'm going to be marking my hip circumference measurement divided by 4 on each side this way, using the center seam of my front pattern as a guideline on the hip line. So after doing that, I will be drawing in my hip curve this way. So after doing that, I will be using my ruler to rule a straight line from that measurement around the hips downwards. I will do the same for the other side as well. After pinning the back to the front or the front to the back, I'm going to sew along the line from top to bottom this way. I also went ahead to sew the inseam. I made use of 1 inch sewing allowance from one side to the other. So the next thing you see me doing here is that I'm measuring my waistline, the total waistline for my trouser, all through from the front to the back. And right now that measurement will be used in cutting out the band of my trouser. You can see here I got a piece of fabric, and I'm measuring the total length of my waistband by the width of it. So I added ½ inch to the width of it for stitching it to my trouser. So I'm just going to cut it out this way. So after cutting it out, I'm going to interface it. So here is uh, my interface waistband, and the next thing I will be doing is I'm going to notch the center of it this way. After notching the center of it, I'm going to place it this way. I'm turning my trouser inside out. You can see my trouser already getting formed. So I'm going to put in my waistband center at the center to the center of the front, and I'm going to pin it all round to the back. So the next thing you'll be doing is to stitch it down to the waist, and after doing that you flip it to the other side this way, and then you stitch it down using your sewing machine to enclose it up. Now I want to show you a quick method on how to hem your trouser easily and fast. A simple trick, and I've done the other part. This is how you do it. This is the part I've not done. So I'm going to fold it this way using my hemming, sewing my hemming allowance. So make sure that you fold it, you have the accurate hemming allowance. You can see the side seam where the stitch is. So here I am just making sure that I have my hemming allowance in place. After doing that, I'm going to fold it again inward this way, And after doing that, I'm just going to run a stitch from that side to the end of the hemming allowance on the side line, the same stitch line you used for the side. Then you do the same method for the other side of your trouser leg. So you fold it again and you stitch it down for both sides. After you've done that, you can see I've already stitched it down. It's not opening up, you can see. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up this way. Automatically it's going to fold in itself easily. So instead of going through the stress of folding in, making sure that it's straight before sewing and all that, this is a very quick method. I found it on the internet and I decided to show you guys that it's very handy. So the final thing I did was to install my zipper with the raw seams and give it a very good press, and you're done with your trouser. So to the crop top part, this is the leftover fabric from the Palazzo. I'm just going to roll my starting line to draft the bodies of my clients. So I'm just going to put from the starting line the total length of the top plus 2 inches sewing hemming allowance. Now from there I will be putting in the bust, shoulder to bust line, which I have marked, which I'm marking, and from there I will also be putting the shoulder measurement divided by 2 plus half inch. I will be replicating same measurement on the bust line as well. So I'm putting in my neckline width and the neckline depth there. So I just made use of 4 inches for the width and about 3.5 for the depth. Now I'm going to draw in my shoulder slant of 1 inch downward on the shoulder depth line. After from there, I will be marking my chest line. This is where your armhole will be seated on. And the chest line is gotten by dividing your bust circumference by 6 plus 1.5 inch. So I'm just putting in my bust circumference measurement plus 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. On the waist, I put my waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance, and also 1 inch allowance for that because we're going to be using that. So I found the midpoint of the shoulder depth line and connected my armhole curve to it this way. So I came in by ½ inch on that point and I am connecting it like this to the shoulder slant. So this is our front armhole, and I also drew a second curve there for the back because I will be using this pattern to cut out the back. So this bodice is actually like the basic bodice but without the hip. It's not long, it's just a crop top. So right now I'm just trying to fix in my zipper allowance. I made use of 1 inch, yeah, for my zipper allowance. So I'm going to cut it out this way. After cutting it out, I'm going to be folding in my zipper allowance for the back inward this way, and I'll be putting in the neck depth for the back like this, and I'm going to draw out the curve for the back. After that is done, I'll be putting in my bust span, which is gotten by dividing my nipple to nipple by 2. So I'm going to mark whatever I have there. After doing that, I'll be ruling a straight line down there, and from my bust line I came down by 1 inch, and on the sides of the waist I went in by ½ an inch each, and I'm going to connect it to the point there. So here I am measuring the distance from the chest line down to the waistline in order to know the length of that I'll be using for the back. So I'm just going to cut out the back neckline first. I'm cutting my shoulder slant and I'll be cutting the back curve first before cutting the front out. So I'm cutting my back armhole curve, then I'm cutting the side this way. So I'm just going to notch that area there. And I'm going to mark the chest line, the bust line on my back this way. So I'm going inward from the zipper allowance edge there by ½ inch in order to create the contour for the back so that you're not going to have a bulgy seam. So after doing that, I'm going to be slitting the rest open this way, and I'll be going to the front pattern of the blouse. I'm cutting out the neckline for the blouse now after we are done with the back, and I'm going to cut out the armhole for the front. So let's start sewing the crop top. The first thing I'll be doing is to sew in my waist dart for both the front and the back. And you can see the way I'm folding it. I'm folding it along the notch we created for the darts. And I am going to fold it in on the back as well using that notch we made before cutting it when we're cutting out the pattern. So what I'm doing here is to impute that measurement we got for the dart leg. I'm going to put it for the back, and I marked ½ inch on along the waistline there to connect both points together. I'll be doing the same for the front as well. I'm marking ½ inch for the width of the dart and the dart leg as well using the measurement we got. So when that is done, I give it a good press, and I will be sewing them along the shoulder slant, placing the back pieces on the front piece this way. And I will be using my sewing allowance to sew the shoulder slant as well as use my bias tape to turn the neckline. So what I want to do next is to put the measurement of our body circumference. I'm using my center crease for the front as guideline in order to have an accurate measurement on both sides. So on the bust line, I'm putting my bust measurements divided by 2. Front armhole on my top. Now this is the way I'm drawing out the curve out. And the back is just easy. Just draw your curve, pass it through the center towards the end. That's all. And I'm just measuring to make sure that my measurements are accurate. What I have on my armhole is the same, including my sewing allowance. So I put in my armhole circumference plus the allowance to mark it down, and I'm going to cut it out. I will be cutting the back armhole first. This way I will notch the center and I'll cut the side this way. So if you don't know how to draft a sleeve, I'm going to put a link to my in this description box of this video to watch a detailed tutorial on how you can do that. Now after cutting out two sides, I'm just going to cut out the front armhole this way, and I'll flip it open the other side, right side facing themselves, and I'm going to use it to trace out the front armhole. So I'm just labeling it front, back, FF, BB, so that I will not be confused. Now I'm going to cut out the front armhole curve, and we are done. I'm going to hem it and hem the other side as well. After hemming it, I folded it. I'm just making sure that everything is accurate. I'm putting my armhole measurement there and my accurate round arm measurement. I'm doing that for the other side as well. I'm going to mark out my armhole measurement divided by 2 and my round arm measurement divided by 2 and connect the point together again on the other sleeve. I'm going to stitch down, open it up this way, and from that notch there, or you can start at the bottom to sew it. You can do it this way. So I'm going to pin them all round, pin it together all round. After pinning it, I'm going to run my sewing allowance stitch all round, and I'm going to do that for the second part, and we have come to the end of this tutorial. If you enjoyed it, kindly give it a thumbs up, kindly like, subscribe, and share to your sewing communities as well. And you can tag me on Instagram, you can tag me on TikTok to show me what you have done, your design, so I can flaunt you to the world. And as well as, do not forget to patronize my business as well, where you can buy your vibrant and beautiful fabrics. Refer me to your family, to your friends, your loved ones. And I'll be putting the shopping link in this description box, and I'll be posting on the community platform as well. See you next time. Bye.